just
Recording in progress.
just for your information, there may be some here in the room that are wanting to be part of the regular city council meeting. It will start at 6 o'clock. This work session will go from 5 o'clock to about 5:45, and then at 5:45 we'll adjourn for the 15 minutes to reconvene for the regular city council meeting at 6 o'clock. So this is the code rewrite work session. So those are the items that we'll be talking about in this work session. So just so you're aware. Yeah, so I'll call this meeting to order for a work session for Payson City Council meeting, November the 18th, 2025. Time is maybe a minute after 5 o'clock. So Robert, do you turn some time over to you? Who do I turn the time over to?
We're going to turn the time over to Nicole Cottle. Thank you so
Okay,
much for being
Nicole.
here, Nicole.
Yeah. So
Jill's gonna take it for me to start.
no, I just want to give a quick little introduction for those of you that are here. Some of you know are aware about the work session for the Planning Commission. You're very aware of this project that we've been working on for the last year for updating our code. But for the public that is here, just wanted to let you know that for the last several months, staff has been working with the Planning Commission to review our land use ordinances, so our zoning code and our subdivision code. There's been a lot of changes over the last handful of years with the state legislature on what's an administrative rule or application, what is a legislative application, when it stays at the staff level, when it goes to Planning Commission, when it goes to city. There's been all of these changes that have been happening. Then of course our community's changing. And so we actually have a really, we have an opportunity right now to dive into those land use ordinances and look at our current codes, see what is working well for our community, see what needs to change in order to implement our general plan, look to see what is legally defensible. And then also just make sure that we get an understanding from the Planning Commission, City Council of our development goals. As we move forward in, with our community and seeing a lot of growth that we're seeing coming south, are our codes written in a way that is going to help us get the best development. Best development can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But that's one of the things we want to talk about tonight is, as you have seen applications, as we've had conversations, as we've been talking about our general plan, now we need to make sure our codes actually will give us the tools needed in order to implement the general plan and make sure that we get the best development possible. So with that quick introduction of the work session item, I'm going to turn some time over to Nicole Cottle. We've actually hired Nicole Cottle. She is a land use attorney. She has a lot of experience in land use at different levels, and she is going to help guide this discussion, but we really want to, she's going to have some very specific questions or topics to share with you, but really tonight is about giving her some input. I mean, as she starts to work with staff in order to update these codes, we want to make sure that we have clear direction from this group. Now, a lot of the conversation tonight will probably have a lot of things that are discussed and a lot of good information, but it doesn't have to, but it won't end tonight. So as you think of new things, as we have our future meetings, as we come upon different situations, jot down some of your ideas, share those with staff, and we'll share those with Nicole. We just want to make sure that this is a really open conversation among staff and the Planning Commission, City Council, and then of course the public, making sure that we are making sure that Payson can be or will continue to be the best community possible as we start to see those growth pressures.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to stand up because I do better on my feet. Thank you so much for letting me be here. As you know, as you already know, you have a really wonderful, amazing staff, and they are so good, been so good to work with so far, and really just very savvy. Those kind of folks you really can't find very often. And so to have such longevity and really great staff is wonderful, and kudos to you. And obviously you have a really beautiful city, which you don't need me to tell you. So as Jill mentioned, I have been a land use lawyer for headed into 30 years now. I worked for West Valley City for 25 years and retired there about almost 3 years ago now. And now I have what I call my portfolio career, which just is a whole bunch of clients doing all kinds of different things. I've worked on both sides of the ledger. So I do have private development clients that I've had for almost my whole career, and I still continue to provide services to them in some ways as a lawyer, and then worked for a lot of different cities, not just West Valley, all over the years that I was there. My specialty, as Jill mentioned, is real estate development, land use. But my heart, I'm a city girl at heart. So my goal in assisting here, as Jill mentioned, is to make sure that your codes are, of course, in full compliance, which your staff's been wonderful and they're there. But as Jill mentioned, there have been a lot of changes. So we want to make sure we're right on point with that. And as some of those changes have brought in really things that we need to discuss from a policy perspective, not just necessarily a legal perspective, some of that will be what we talk about tonight. As you can kind of help me and help your staff understand where your mind is with regards to your community tonight and where your vision is for the future. One of the things that I love to talk about with city councils and planning commissions is I view it as my job, and I see as my job to assist your staff to make sure that whatever you decide, whatever policy you set for your community, and however we set that in compliance with the state law requirements, is defensible, and that we can take that to the bank, so to speak. I want to put you and make sure that you're in the strongest position that you can be, both from a legislative, some of the things that you can do and that we can do from a land use perspective is legislative, and some of it is administrative, and it will be handled by your staff. And state law has come down with some of those things that we can set up, but making sure that your vision and the vision that you have on behalf of your constituencies are really able to come to fruition. And so that's part of what our overview is, and a lot of what tonight is about. What I would really like to hear are some of the things that you have on your mind. So I have a few questions, and I told the staff also to please chime in and help me if they have questions. And I also can be a bit of a talker. So if I get going and there's not enough conversation here, you guys also just get the crook and cut me off. Okay, so the first question I have for you is, how would you describe Payson's identity today? And coupled with that, what parts of that identity do you think are most important, both to you and to your constituency? So what's the city's identity, and what do you see as most important aspects of that identity? And you just call it out.
I'll start the conversation. We're a hometown community that's very welcoming to people that come into this community, and we want to keep that hometown feel as best as we can. We understand that there are state regulations we have to conform to, but every city doesn't have to be one size fits all, doesn't necessarily have to be that way. But as long as there's some flexibility in those ordinances that we can adopt, I believe that's the goal that and I don't mean to speak for the council, but I'm sure they can speak for themselves. But I believe that's what we feel like. We've got to grow, we have to grow, but we want to maintain that hometown feel.
Hometown character, hometown feel. Okay. Anybody want to add to that?
For me, family oriented and
Okay.
quality of life for the residents as well. As we grow, continue to provide amenities, opportunities for commerce, business, recreation. That's really important.
Okay.
My idea is those things I concur with those two. And yes, we do have to grow, but we want to be in control of how our city grows.
Mhm.
We don't want the state to tell us how we have to. We want to be able to have the power for our own people, because each city has its own culture. We know our city better than the state does, better than the feds do. So we want to be in control of it.
Very good. Okay. Can I ask a couple follow-up questions to that? The first is, when you say hometown feel, give me some characteristics of that. What do you mean by hometown feel? Like explicitly, give me some characteristics. Is it your main street, which is lovely? Is it the walkable because the kids can walk to school? What are those things?
I think that you hit on some of the key points. We do have a quaint downtown area. We grew up, at least I did. I grew up in a time when you had nice neighborhoods. The there is a place for high density, but that's not in the middle of well-established neighborhoods, which would change the character of that neighborhood. There are areas that would play well for that. But it's, you know, just a welcoming atmosphere that, as you say, some walking trails, places where people can feel safe and welcome, you know, a good police force that will help and emphasize the safety aspect of our citizens and community.
Great. Any other characteristics of hometown feel anybody can think of or want to
I
add?
think for me, it's green space and then city events as well. As we
Okay.
get bigger and bigger, having those city events, Onion Days, Salmon Supper, Scottish Festival, is so important to return to the roots of Payson and to have that hometown feel, those relationships with our neighbors.
Okay. And when you say green space, is it any kind of, is that open space in your mind, or is it manicured, more particular type of green space, or is it all of the above?
Yes, all the above.
Okay, good.
The other thing that I might mention too is we will have to be realistic about what we can do and what we can't do, because we are subdivisions of the state, but we want to work within those parameters to get the best outcome that we can possibly get. That's why we're, as a city, and have been for quite a few years, part of the Leagues of Cities and Towns, and fully support the efforts there to help the city's opinions and the city council's opinions and citizens' opinions be heard. So
Very good. Okay, yes.
So, like when I first moved to Payson, 25 years ago, there was only like one stoplight. And I figured it was going to stay that way, but I should have known better, right? So now we have more stoplights, but I mean, it makes sense with the growth that we have to make sure that, you know, we can control the traffic that's going in and out. And yet the hometown feel for me as a New Yorker is that it still feels like I can, and it does in my neighborhood, I can walk to my neighbors and ask for, you know, a couple of cups of milk or, you know, some butter and stuff, or I don't have any problem having my kids go out and play in the neighborhood. But back to what Ryan was saying, yeah, I love Onion Days. I love Scottish Festival, and I'm a Polynesian, so we wear wraparounds too, just a different kind. But we still want to, and what she was saying too is that, yeah, we don't want to be controlled by the legislature. We don't want to have them come in and demand and tell us where we have to build and what we have to build. That's where I think, that's where our decision-making has to be paramount in helping to shape that growth, or at least mold it the way we want to see it.
at the same time, I don't want that. We got to be realistic that the state does have that control. And so that's why we got to pay attention, not just play dead, but we got to pay attention to those.
Well, and then even add to that, the fact that lawyers tell us, right, what the state legislature and the governor tell us we have to do. We don't want to be in trouble from a legal standpoint, right? And so we appreciate your expertise coming from West Valley, right? And stuff to help us to use our feedback and our input to make sure that we stay on okay and within the parameters that they provide for us.
Yeah.
Going back to control, I want to make sure you get your point in here, ma'am, but going back to the control, we can't control anybody around us. We're not an island. We don't have walls that go up around us. And so we need to understand that the growth's coming, and we need to manage it as smartly as we possibly can. But those communities that are going to grow around us, we need to benefit from that growth as well, so that we have the resources to take care of the problems that will come. If we don't, then we'll have all the problems of a bigger city and none of the resources to take care of them. So we got to realize that what it goes around us is going to affect us as well. Ma'am, would you have a comment?
Great question. Yeah. Yeah, and all plays into that, all plays into this, right? That kind of leads me to another question, and that is, how do you feel, what is your take or vision on balancing the different uses in the community? So for instance, do you foresee some addition to your natural industrial area? What kind of business balance do you want? Do you want to infuse additional businesses? And if so, what type? Do you feel like you need to increase or maintain the number of jobs that you have here for the folks that live here? Do you recognize that you export or import those? Give me a little feel for where you're at with regards to, different types of uses, and explicitly the business and commercial and industrial aspects.
Your question leads into what I was going to say a little
Oh,
bit
great.
about
Yes.
hometown
Perfect.
feel.
Great.
And part of the hometown feel to me is to be able to get what you need in our hometown, to be able to acquire what we need to survive, to enjoy life. And so that includes additional businesses. That includes recreational areas. That includes other opportunities. What we don't want is downtown Salt Lake. Okay? We don't want that. We want to be able to feel like we're a part of the community in everything we do.
Great
And I
comment.
think to the affordability point that this man brought up is, in order to hopefully maintain affordability or even push it in the right direction, we need more sales tax in Payson, and we need more diversification of businesses. And so we can acquire the goods. And I love a Payson where we can live, work, eat lunch, and go home, and do so in good
And
traffic
we don't have to
too.
leave Payson
Right.
if we don't want to.
Yeah, so it is that balance, and we absolutely need some more businesses, but I don't want to cannibalize the local businesses at the expense of a chain or big box business either. So location is key with those.
Great. Location important, and a little bit of balance, sounds like.
Yep.
Mindfulness with regards to what's already here, and a little bit of protection of that, but also maybe balance in the location of some of the other service types or other types of businesses. Okay, great.
So to what Ryan said too, I love how the emphasis sometimes in social media is, hey, let's come support our local businesses. Let's all go have wings at We Blue Inn, or let's go, to Chubby's and see what, and clearly you can see I've been taking advantage of those kinds of things. But it's nice to be able to support the local businesses that have already been here forever, that have sacrificed, and that hometown feel as far as the ones that have been here a long, long time.
Yeah.
And then also the ones that are coming in and filling in the spaces where someone decides that they don't want to deal with property taxes or the different things, that we give them a chance as well to be able to embrace those who want to be here in Payson.
Yeah.
The other thing we need to realize too is that competition is not necessarily bad, and that when you have more choices to choose from, brings more people, and so more people means more business to different businesses, and a variety of businesses, like's been discussed, would be very apropos. And with the growth that the state as a whole is experiencing, and the traffic concerns that are out there right now and that will continue to develop, it puts more of an emphasis on trying to build it within your own community. And so you don't have to go out and compete with all the traffic that's going to eventually, well, still is right now, but even get worse. So very important that we garner what we can here.
Sure. Yeah. I would echo, as an outside observer and someone who worked in a city. I live in a city similar to Payson and have raised my kids there. But worked in a city that is very different. Most of my career in a city that's very different from Payson. And as an outside observer, many of the attributes that Payson has are things that other communities are really desirous of, and are really desirable for a community, and are very hard to replicate. When you try to do that in a redevelopment sense, or in a larger city, or in a city that doesn't naturally already have those attributes, it's almost impossible. And so I would echo, again, not that my impressions don't matter at all, but I would just, as an outside observer, say to you that it is lovely what you have already, and the way that the city has developed already is very hard to do outside of a city that doesn't have those natural attributes. And there's a lot of cities that are jealous of that. So kudos so far, and it's a great thing, and being mindful of that and protecting that while finding that balance. I can hear that. I understand that. Very good. Any other commentary on business? How about industrial? Heavy industrial, light industrial? Are you seeking those kinds of
There's
groups?
definitely a place for those,
Yep.
but we don't want it downtown. We don't want it, we want it in the
Specific
places that we
places.
plan for.
Very good. Yep.
The
Okay.
industrial area.
And you
Yes.
feel like we feel like we're in good shape in that way. We've got our spot, and okay, very good.
The zones we have that are industrial, we like where they're at, and that's what we
Okay,
want.
excellent.
Yeah, I think an emphasis on light industrial, heavy industrial brings with itself its own problems, but
Sure.
wouldn't exclusively go away from it, but very, very careful of the type of heavy industrial, but light industrial is,
Great.
would be
Okay.
Yes,
desire.
Nicole, going along those lines, I would agree that more shift to, and I would love everybody's input on this, but a more shift to light industrial versus heavy industrial.
Okay.
And even in the light industrial is as our community has changed, as it's evolved, as we've gotten bigger, or as we've needed land for different type of uses for our community today and into the future, I think those uses have changed. I think, even going back 10 years, I think there was a lot more opportunity for a variety of industrial, but as land is becoming more critical to support homes or to support business or to support transportation or whatever it may be, I think the list of uses will change. I think that there are just some uses that may have been appropriate in Payson today or even 10 years ago are probable uses that maybe need to shift to a more rural area. We were rural at one
Yep.
time, and
Yep.
our community is starting to shift. And so I think with that, land uses shift.
Very good. Okay.
I think regards to variety, sometimes we can't control that variety because if it's zoned for a particular type of business, and we have to leave that up to the business community themselves as far as the competition,
Mhm.
kind of make sure that variety does come that way. But sometimes there's a misunderstanding that, why is there another pizza place, or why is there another Mexican place, another hamburger place? We need X and Y and Z, but we don't necessarily get to control that, because if it's zoned, it's zoned.
No, great comments. And let me just pause really quick, and well, actually, let's go ahead. I don't want to stop the conversation.
So just to add on to what Jill was saying, what does the council and planning commission think about more of a tech park as a light industrial thing, and moving into the future with something like that?
That's obviously something that would be advantageous in today's market. So
I was gonna say, as the businesses come in, especially like in the industrial or out in the area or tech, that they offer sustainable wages that, then people can buy a home in Payson. Like I know that in my career, when I look for a career, I tell myself I'm not going further north than Lehigh.
Mhm.
Am I willing to take a pay cut, to not go further north than Lehigh?
Yeah.
And that's still pushing it. So something
Yes.
that will keep people in this area, but also make a decent living to
Mhm.
afford those things that are coming. So
Mhm. Very good. Okay. So jobs are important, but high paying jobs, not any job, not just any job. High paying jobs that are centered around maybe looking at some tech park sort of land uses, encouraging that. Okay.
One
Good.
thing that sometimes not taken into consideration or is not thought of, some of the industries that we'd like to attract here, the high-tech industries, they have an awful lot of requirement for electricity
Yes,
and
sir.
some for water. So we got to be
Mhm.
cognizant of that.
Mhm.
If we can't supply the electricity, that we've had some businesses approach the city and want more than the whole Utah County
Yeah.
can produce.
Yeah.
And so we've got to be realistic on who we attract, and not only where, but who.
Yes.
And so as best as we can do that, we need to do that. And
Very
then, the affordability issue, the cities they have a little bit of influence. The government has a little bit of influence as far as affordability of homes, but the marketplace takes care
That's right.
of that by a big degree. And so whatever leverage we have, we would certainly want to use in that regard.
Yeah, I think that's a great point as it relates to housing in particular. Let me ask a question on that topic again, let's circle back to that and then I'll bring up a comment as it relates to that. So as it relates to housing in particular, I understood your previous comments. The question that came to my mind was, how do you as a group, as a city feel about mixing of housing in the same general area in certain circumstances or locating or it maybe already in your mind, are there a few places where the more affordable types of housing make sense and where it definitely doesn't make sense? What's your sort of feel on those topics?
Well, I think integrating high density housing into an already established single family home neighborhood kind of messes up traffic,
Yep,
messes
gotcha.
up just other dynamics. And because I live in one, and there are just a lot of issues that happen.
Sure.
And I think personally, I would avoid that.
Gotcha.
Let's keep them in certain areas. But I think we need more middle class homes that are affordable, but therefore, maybe some middle class want to upgrade, but they don't want $1 million home. They can't have $1 million home. And we are saturated with 3-bedroom homes. We
okay.
need a little bit more. We're saturated with apartments and townhomes and stuff like that. Not everybody wants to start with that.
Great.
So we need to be more organized. We don't want to be so sporadic and make it just look so random all over the place.
Yeah,
I think that we need to be aware that a mixture within, I don't want really, really high density within an existing neighborhood, but we have to understand that we don't want to create slums either. And so to a great extent, as we do a mixture, an attainable mixture of homes, then that will take away the possibility of having it develop into a slum. My concern with the state and some of the direction that the state's pushing the cities to go is that I'm afraid we'll create those slums 10 years down the road. We'll think, well, what were we thinking? I just want to avoid that and push back in every way we can.
Sure. Yeah. And I do think there are techniques. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think mixing can be advantageous and important when done correctly. Absolutely. Because we don't want to overburden a certain area of the city with all of one certain type of housing either. But I agree with the mayor and Councillor Moss too. We have to be very strategic about it and surgical with it. But we need to provide a variety of housing and I think income levels in given neighborhoods too. I think that mix is important for society, for religion, for all sorts of different reasons. But the state too, this conversation will all be null when this time next year it's state mandated zoning across the whole Utah County anyway. But we need to provide adequate housing in Payson, but we need to do it with products that we would want our kids to live into.
And that includes a variety of products.
Yes.
That's everything from the 1-bedroom apartment all the way to the McMansion.
And
it's a mix in between.
And I would push back. I don't think we need too many 1-bedroom apartments.
No, but
not very. Maybe
you know
2
what I
or
mean.
3 I'm okay with, but
Yeah.
that creates transient. But yeah.
Yeah, I have the ability, I've been mayor for a while and have had the ability to be the chair of the municipal planning organization, which is traffic. I see what's coming as far as traffic is concerned. And recently I've been able to be on the board of the Leagues of Cities and Towns, and I can see the push-pull there too. So we need to stay very active in both those areas.
Yeah, great.
So what I think, and I've discussed this many times, because high density is 20. 8 to an acre is not high density. That is actually considered low density in most places that you go to. I don't believe you should take and throw in a brand new 8-plex or something, or townhomes in the middle of $1 million homes. But also, and this is what they know, You want that diversity in size from the very small, like maybe 2-bedroom, up. Because what happens if the economy fails, okay, who's going to lose their houses? It's probably going to be all the rich, or the middle class. So if you have all these people that have a $4,000 or $5,000 mortgage and things go bankrupt, you're going to have whole sections, and they saw this back in 07 and 08, where whole sections of homes just, brand new homes just went belly up. People broke into them. I mean, they ravaged them. They did so many terrible things, but there weren't other homes around to watch that because they put all one size of home in it. And so, I mean, this is just a matter of economics, and they know it. You put a bunch of different sized homes in an area, yeah, you may have some lose it. And I don't want the economy to go bad. I'm just saying it happens. I saw it out on West Mountain, all those big homes on that on the mountain out there. I watched them. People just walked away from their mortgages, and there were houses, huge houses, and some people got really good deals. But it can happen from the beginner clear up to the homes like out there. So to me, you have to have that mixture.
Yep.
And I mean, this is terrible to say, they're now going to the 50-year mortgage, but it's like the New Deal when it happened, they went from a 15-year mortgage to a 30-year mortgage. And everybody thought, oh, that's just terrible. That's just terrible. But now we accept it. So now they've already figured out to get more people into homes, they're going to raise it to 50 years. Yeah, they'll never pay it off. But maybe in 8 or 10 years, they will get equity in that so they could sell it and move to a bigger home. And I mean, they're talking about reducing the interest rates. And I know it's really, really technical. They have to make sure they don't do it too fast so that the inflation doesn't go up. But they are trying to come up with ways to get more people in homes and out of apartments, which to me, if you do that, because I know a lot of people who are in apartments that can't qualify to get in a house. I mean, they're so close and they're paying as much as they would pay for a house payment. So they are looking for ways to, I mean, I'd hate to have a 50-year mortgage, but you're going to see that. It's just like when it went from the 15 to the 30.
Thank you.
Anyway, that was.
No, great
I
comments.
think
Thank you.
the thing that we need to be aware of also hasn't been discussed yet. We want to make sure that home ownership is a big part of the housing. That's how people
Important.
generate their wealth. And if we have too many rentals, then that doesn't generate the wealth, nor does it survey community as a whole. And so I think we need to pay attention as far as our ordinances are concerned, as best as the state will allow us to do, to make home ownership a major part of any development that is there. And because sometimes when people do go bankrupt and can't make payments, companies come in and buy those homes and make them rentals for their particular use and their company use. So we got to be cognizant of that as well.
Great. Yep.
Well, she brought up 2007 and the housing crisis. Then it was because there was too much government regulation, because they were requiring lenders to lend to people who had no business buying a home. They didn't have anything to put down. And so they limited them to within 5 years, everything was going to increase, and it just crashed. And so really, we don't really have anything to do with the housing market here, and we can't do anything, but I would like to see less government regulation in that.
Understand.
One thing I want to make everybody aware of, we've got 10 more minutes until 5:45.
Yes,
Just
sir.
wanted to
Yes,
make
sir.
that note.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, one of the weaknesses in our code, I think, is the open space requirements that we have.
Okay.
Sorry, because it's capped out at a certain number.
Yeah.
Once a developer reaches that number, it doesn't matter how many units above that, they still have that same requirement.
Mhm.
I just want, hopefully you can pay attention really close to that, because the majority of the applicants we have now surpass that beyond. And so
Easily.
you have this
Mhm.
huge development with a tiny clubhouse or 2 pickleball courts. So when you're looking at that section, please make it so, or that we have a higher tier amount.
Great.
That it can be commensurate with the size of the community.
You got it.
Because there's so many, and I think that goes to the characteristic of keeping Payson welcoming, and that hometown feel is open space. And I've seen a lot of these developers, there are other communities in other cities where the open space isn't there, the parking isn't there, and it just feels like a mess. So
Great comment.
that'd be my,
Great. Thank
To
you.
Brandon's
request.
point, can I ask you a question? Can we, in our code, can we legally dictate gross versus net houses per acre?
You bet.
Okay. And
You
are,
bet
and
we
are we
can.
working on that and hopefully leaning towards the net?
It says up to, instead of
Yeah.
for eight, it says up to eight.
I know that, but the difference between net and gross of the land, right? And
Yes.
okay.
Brandon mentioned
that is one of
parking.
the things
We've
we
got to
talked about
be
in
very, very
conversation.
concerned
Very
about
good.
parking. There has been a movement to do away with parking, especially
Right.
around transit oriented.
Yep.
And that's a recipe for disaster because the thought is, well, people just use the transit system. They don't. A lot of people, so we've got to be very, and that goes back to a hometown feel. We got to be very careful with how we deal with parking.
Require that. Yes. Was there another comment over here?
Hometown feel. Start enforcing ordinances is on the book. I get all the time, poor Payson City, they can't even maintain their equipment they got. Look at the road sweeper that's been going around the last 2 weeks. You follow anywhere you go. Got a trail that big everywhere he went. Let's not relocate the dirt. It's not working. Let's park the darn thing and get it done. We got a brand new road over there. We got all kinds of dirt up and down that road.
Yep.
And the road ain't been done for a month.
Understand.
That's a very, very high maintenance vehicle, and that goes back to being able to have the retail prowess to be able to afford not only the maintenance on it, but replace it when that maintenance becomes not a good thing to do.
Yep, absolutely.
Why don't we shut these equipment down rather than keep relocating the dirt?
Well, that's a subject for another night.
And Nicole, you may have one more questions before but I just want to mention one thing. As planning commissioners and council members are maybe thinking about the discussion tonight and jotting down some ideas of maybe some things that we should consider moving forward. One of the things that I had mentioned to Nicole when we met among staff is I want to make sure we have a code that fits existing development and future development. We have a code right now, and many of you have noticed that we've had a little bit of, I mean, sometimes we have a challenge working a development through the process or maybe an infill project, because our codes were written for greenfield development. But we have a lot of existing neighborhoods in our community, and a lot of them are the pioneer neighborhoods that have their own challenges. And so I want to make sure that we have the tools not only for new greenfield development, but also to allow somebody across the street from here to be able to add onto their house or put a garage or put a shed in their backyard. I mean, we do allow that, but we want to make sure that people can maximize the use of their property, especially in the existing neighborhoods.
Yeah, thank you. And I will just wrap up by just saying, as we move through this process, again, I would just remind you that the intent is to make sure that, of course, we're in full compliance with state law, but also finding the right balance with regards to that, as we've heard tonight, and making sure that you as the government closest to the people and the local government have as much authority and capability as you can to make those really important decisions and to curate your community the way you want that. And that will be our goal as we look staff wise and bring those thoughts and processes through to you. And as Jill said, if things come to your mind over the next few weeks and months as we move through this, pass them right on straight through staff, and we'll address those. And as we move through, so this is a long process. I've done this before, just on the zoning sections and the land use sections of a code. Sometimes it takes a really long time, and you want to make sure they're right. And by the way, kudos, not every jurisdiction has the foresight and bandwidth and capability to do this, and it is a heavy lift. And so kudos to you for being mindful of what you need to do and mindful of making sure that this code is in great shape. And we'll move through that really expeditiously and you know, march right with you. I'll make sure we're marching right with you, and staff, of course, has you great in great shape. But if there are things that come to your mind, please just pass them right through and we'll address them, or we can come back and I can be with you again. And I really appreciate the opportunity. I think Payson's a great city, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you and learn more about it and help where I can. So thank
Can
you.
I ask one more thing?
Of course.
So annexation, this is my feeling. I don't think we should annex anywhere unless we are ready to go build there.
Okay.
We don't annex it for our own reasons, which has happened. We annex because we are ready to build and the utilities are there to start building. So we don't want little pockets over here or over there. If they're not ready to be built, if they're not next to somewhere, because I know in the past we've done that and we shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
So can we put that in the code? I just don't, I mean, I feel bad because I realize there's people who want to annex in, but the utilities are so far out, it's really, really hard to get somebody to take the utilities out there.
And to clarify, cities don't petition annex, right? It is the landowners that cause
not always.
and petition annexation. And so with that, though, I think, yeah, it needs to happen when the development and the access is ready.
You know, that's where possibly the city could have a little bit of influence on what it costs per home. If the utilities are too far out.
Right.
And the developer has to spend X amount of money to get those utilities there, that's going to be reflected in the price of individual homes.
Yep.
So
Great point.
to the extent we can manage that, I think it's a good thing.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be with you. Thanks.
Okay, Robert, anything else we need to address?
I think so. So we're just gonna break for about 15 minutes or so, put the room back together. So now's a great time to.
Yeah, we'll reconvene at 6 o'clock order. Just for your information, this is a special, we just came from a work session talking about ordinances. We ended that meeting at 5:45, and now we're at 6 o'clock doing a rest of the city council. It's a special city council meeting on November 18th, 2025. The time is 6 o'clock, and the reason it's on Tuesday night is the canvassing part of the election we've just had. It has to be certified by no later than tonight, so Wednesday night would not have conformed to the regulations, so that's why we're here on a Tuesday night. I'll go ahead and open this city council meeting with a word of prayer. Our Father in heaven, as we come before thee at this time as a group of thy children, citizens of Payson, and staff and city council, we are so thankful for the many blessings that thou hast bestowed upon us. We're thankful for the moisture we've just received, and the moisture is very important to us, as thou knows, and hopefully we'll have sufficient for our needs. Father, we'd ask thee to please watch over and bless us, that as city council and staff and citizens, that we make the right decisions for the future of our city. We ask thee for thy help, and we say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Kim Holdendrake, that was a blast from the past. Holdendrake is going to lead us in the pledge.
Would the audience please stand and repeat the pledge with me? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kim. I might add, ladies and gentlemen, it's refreshing to see this many people here at City Council meeting. Many times there's not that many, so thank you for being here and being willing to be involved in this process. We'll move on to D, consent agenda. Number 1, approval of the November 5th, 2025 City Council minutes. Number 2, confirmation of the monthly financial information. And number 3, a resolution, police department evidence allocation. And number 4, a resolution, Utah County Interlocal Cooperation Agreement regarding Payson Canyon Trail. Council, unless there's any discussion on those items of the consent agenda, I'm ready for a motion for approval.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt, Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. I might mention, please excuse Council Hewlett. They had some conflicting appointments and was not able to make it here tonight. Okay, moving on to E, petitions. Payson Santaquin Chamber Business Employee or Community Service Award. Jim, are you here? Okay, Jim, come on up.
All right, I am Jim Rowland, the President and CEO of the Payson Santaquin Chamber of Commerce, here to present our Community Service Award. So tonight we pause to recognize a member of our community who has dedicated decades of public service, leadership, and an unwavering commitment to the integrity and smooth operation of our city. This reflects a career defined by quiet professionalism and deep dedication. Our honoree began their career in public service and worked in the legal field, gaining skills that would later serve them and the communities they served well. This person brings nearly 3 decades of municipal service to the table. Their career is built on a foundation of legal expertise, serving as city recorder for one Utah city for over 20 years. In 2016, this person joined Payson City, where their work quickly became indispensable. Since their appointment as Payson City Recorder in July 2019, they have consistently excelled with professionalism, patience, and a deep dedication to transparent government. We are talking about a true master municipal clerk, a distinction that proves their expertise in legislative procedure and records management. And as many of you have figured out by now, we are, of course, speaking of and honoring tonight Kim Hollendrick. Now, my guess is you're much more comfortable behind a computer than in front of the crowd, but if you would please come join me up here. I'll read a little bit more fun stuff for you, or about you. Is this your husband?
Yes.
Hi, Jim Rowland.
Great.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. So Kim has worked closely with the Utah State Records Office, ensuring secure and compliant handling of public records, and expertly administers every vital request for public information with timeliness and accuracy. Her impact is felt most clearly in our civic processes. Kim played a significant role in election administration, including working with the state and county to implement ranked choice voting in 2019, making Payson one of the first cities in Utah to adopt it. Her steady, knowledgeable presence has been a tremendous support to Mayor Bill Wright and the entire city council, keeping meetings organized and processes running smoothly. Kim's career is the definition of making a difference through quiet, essential work. After 9 years with Payson City and nearly 3 decades in public service, Kim will be retiring at the end of this year. This isn't your last meeting. You have one more, a couple more? 3 more. But who's counting? There are 2 more. So Kim was raised in Lehi, Utah, and is married to Russell Hollendrick. Russell is here with us. And she is a proud mother of 3 children and grandmother to 5 grandsons. And while we are celebrating her decades of service tonight, I'm pretty sure she will be very happy to trade in the massive workload of public records for a more fun and demanding job of being a full-time grandmother to these grandbabies. It is our profound privilege tonight to recognize this dedication to our community and award the Chamber Community Service Award to Kim Hollendrick. This award reflects your service, leadership, and commitment, and your contributions have strengthened our city, supported transparency, improved record keeping, and enhanced the experience of residents and elected officials alike. We sincerely wish you all the best in your next chapter, and congratulations, and thank you for your outstanding service to our community. So I don't think we give speeches, but
Yes, Jim, I'd like to add, if I can, I agree with everything that was said about Kim. I became mayor in 2018, and she has been a great help to me personally and professionally. Don't know what we'll do without her, but we are going to have another consummate professional, Emily Otley. We look forward to working with you, but believe me when I say we will miss Kim very, very much. So thank you for all of that you have done and will do.
Thank you so much. I am very surprised. I so much appreciate it, and I have very much enjoyed working for Payson. It's been wonderful.
Council, anything you guys would like to say?
I
Please.
do.
Yeah.
From day one, when I decided to run for city council, Kim has been super helpful, knowledgeable. She is the keeper of all knowledge and so friendly. And it's been an honor to work with you. And it was so wonderful to meet you and work with you. And congratulations on retiring soon. You deserve this.
Kim, thank you so much. You've always been approachable, friendly, and I joked and told you before, but you helped keep me out of jail when I was running for office. You made sure everyone followed the rules. You carry out your job with professionalism, transparency, and you upheld the record keeping and the elections for our city, which is a sacred trust. So thank you so much, and I'm glad that you're here to continue to teach and pass the torch on, but you will be so missed. And when you're ready to actually move to Payson, we'll take you.
What they said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay, I guess we're ready for a picture.
Got a picture, yeah.
I got you.
Okay. This way, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
No.
I apologize, Tam, I'm late for now, but fine for I'll be good after.
Okay, moving on to number 2, which is the public forum. Anyone can speak. Please watch your time. Try to be right around 3 minutes. You can speak on anything that's not on the agenda. If you have something you'd like to tell us, again, as long as it's not on the agenda, we'd be glad to listen. So we'll open the public forum right now. Come on up. Come up here with you so you can be part of the official record. We get to be recorded. Yes, please.
So my name's Elise Spot and I live on 238 East 400 South. And as you come, the new street of Main Street that just got finished and paved. And as you come up past Parkview Elementary School, there's a house that is sitting there. And it is now painted as a turn lane. And the person who owns that house has kindly decided to park his car in the turn lane right by the stop sign continually. Before it was painted, but now it is painted as a legal turn lane. So I don't know what the policy is on that. I don't know if that's been.
Now that you've mentioned it, we'll turn it over to the police department and they'll take appropriate action.
Okay. It really makes it hard to make that turn.
Yep.
And so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If it's got something to do with not on the agenda, then that's fine, Lee. Okay. Anybody online that want to take advantage of it, Emily? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. You bet.
My name is Jesse Sorensen, I'm a resident of Payson. I just want to thank the council for their support of 4Bay in the past. The improvements that have been made up there the last few years have been greatly beneficial to the youth of our community, to the adults who enjoy hiking up there, cycling, just enjoying nature. So we appreciate the efforts that have been made to preserve that and hope that the council continue to make those improvements to our community. I know there's a number of people from the surrounding communities that also enjoy those, and especially the youth cycling leagues really all over Utah County that come and enjoy those as well. So that's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay. We'll go ahead and if there's nobody online and no one else that wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda, we'll go ahead and close the public forum. We'll move on to number 3, staff reports. Anybody? Michael, come on up.
Michael, looks like you lost a bet over the weekend.
I was going to say I'm not conflicted. I don't have split personalities. I lost a bet. And Dave's not here.
We'll testify for you.
Thank you. I might have. Tonight, I want to introduce our GIS intern. She's done a lot of great work for us. And what she's done for us started off with an idea from council member Brian Hewlett. He had this idea for some economic development possibilities and outreach, and it was to do what's called a story map for the city. And what it does is it shows various things throughout the city, what's going on, that sort of a thing. And what we've done is Emma has put this together in a matter of days, very quickly, but very professionally. So I want to introduce Emma to you. She's very talented and very good at what she does, and we're glad to have her. She's going to come up here and share this story map with you for a few minutes.
Excellent.
Come on up, Emma. Welcome.
And then she's going to show you how to navigate this story map from the city's website.
Okay. Hi, guys. So as Michael was saying, I'm just going to quickly show how to navigate the story map. It's under economic development, which you can access here or under city services. I can't see it. It's blocked out.
It's way easier.
And under economic development here. And then it's just one of these tabs. It's called Payson City Developments. Okay. So this is what it looks like. And there's just different tabs. So you can go to whatever you're interested in. There's annexations, zoning, approved developments, proposed developments, and transportation projects. So I'll just scroll through them quickly. You can see all the annexations as different tabs, and on the map it'll highlight whatever one you're hovering over. But if you want more information, you can click on one, it'll zoom in, and then also show a zoning map for it and have a brief description. And then you can scroll through the different annexations, or you can just click this little X and it'll take you back to see what all of them were. So you can click on the ones you're interested in. Then there's the zoning map, and there's just an overall city zoning map that you can interact with. You can zoom in on areas that you want to see closer. And then it goes to zone changes. So any area that has recently had a zone change will be here. And there's just a little slide bar so you can see exactly what is changing in the area. And a brief description underneath. And then the approved developments will show up here. You can see the overall map of Payson City, and then all of these are clickable, and it'll zoom in on whatever development you want to look at. And then there's different resources available to you that you can click, also a brief description. But for example, you could click on hotel rendering here, and it'll pull up an image in the background. And then with these developments, it's also scrollable. You can click the arrow to go to the next available one, or you can just click return to navigation and it'll take you back to the options available. And then pending or proposed developments are the same way. So they have a brief disclaimer to note that the developments there are just conceptual in nature, so it's not going to look exactly like that in the end. And then finally, there's transportation projects. It'll show on the map what it's designed to look like, and then have a brief description on what it is. And you just scroll through. But then also each of these are clickable, and it'll take you to the website that has more information on it. There. And then that's everything. There's a phone number if people have questions, but all the information is available at this site.
Any questions for Emma?
Awesome job.
And this is customizable. We can have a variety of items on there. We can have more on there. We can have more detail on there. This was really kind of just thrown together to show you what she can do and what we're getting done. So this is not an inclusive list of projects. And we're also trying to keep it limited. But if there's something you want to see on here, we can get it put on here for you.
And Michael, who's going to be, and Emma too. Emma, really, thank you so much for your work on this. This does not look thrown together at all. It looks professional. You did a good job. It's very interactive. Who's going to watch this? Who's going to update it?
So it's kind of be a partnership between the GIS and the planning staff. We'll give them the information and detail, and they'll put it in there. And primarily that's going to be Emma. We're hoping Emma will become full-time with us someday.
This is why Emma can
approve
never
a budget
leave.
for her. But it'll be a joint effort on that.
Emma, how much longer are you going to stay with us as an intern?
As long as I can.
Forever.
Yeah. Because we love having you. We really do. I get to tease her every now and again when I walk by. I don't know whether you like that or not, but I do.
It's fun.
And part of the reason for this is the planning commission, the city council doesn't get as much involvement in land use applications. But we wanted to give you an opportunity to see what's happening and to be able to hopefully be able to answer questions to the public and whoever that might be asking about what's going on in this location or that location, because you don't have that face time with it if you were actually making a land use decision like in the past. So that's part of it, is help you have that opportunity to see what's happening.
Well, and this is great too. And for the zoning aspect, not to have to flip through the area plan or general specific or area specific plan when you come on this interactive map. This is going to be a huge asset for us. Let's continue to watch this, Emma, and make sure it stays up to date, because this is phenomenal.
Yeah, Emma, thank you so much. This will help us as city council members when we get questions from the citizens here. What's going on? We can refer them to this. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
And one last thing I would say, she mentioned it's there on the economic development page. If there's different locations on the website you want it to be, it can easily be linked there. And that way it's more accessible for you as you're using the website.
I think it should also be with the zoning page too.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that. Thank you, Mayor and Council, and thank you for accommodating my ugly tie.
That's ugly.
I was kind of thinking the polo was the problem.
Tomato, tomato.
Sorry, I tease you. And I got all choked up, so. Okay, any other staff? Okay, not seeing any, oh, come on up, Donna.
Nope, so Carl was gonna get up and introduce Amy Pitcher, our library board president, co-president, has a little presentation about something that we're doing. It's not a presentation. She's going to talk to you about something that we're doing in conjunction with the tree lighting.
Glad to have you. Thank you.
I'm glad she clarified because I definitely don't have a presentation. Amy Pitcher, just wanted to report on our Festival of Wreaths that we are starting up this year. We hope to make this an annual tradition for Payson. It's in coordination with the Payson Christmas Festival that will happen November 29th on Main Street. Our goal, being this was our first year, was to get 10 wreaths donated from the community, and we are currently at 16 with promises of a few more. So we are super excited about that. The drop off for the wreaths will be Thursday night from 5 to 8, and they will be hung and displayed around the library. And then bidding, community can come in and bid on a wreath from November 20th through the 29th. The awards will be given at the tree lighting ceremony on the 29th, and then members can pay for, or winning bids can pay for and take their wreaths on the 29th. So we're very excited. Mr. Mayor, you are awarding the mayor's picks. So sometime between the 20th and the 29th, if you'll come down and check it out, but encourage everyone to come down, bid, and help us create a successful event that we can carry on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other staff would like to address us? Okay, we'll move on to council reports, and I've got cussed out before for not having you be first. Then don't cuss me out.
Because I went first last week.
Oh, okay. Then we'll start over here.
Oh, start with me. I'm in the same boat.
Brett.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
Okay.
So
Wonderful. Council Rowley.
Yeah, I want to bring up to staff and council, maybe we can brainstorm, seeing an increase of on-street parking around our new multifamily developments. We go to great lengths to ensure they have enough parking and big parking lots, and then they're not using them. They're all parking on the street, particularly on the frontage road down by 8th South, Wendy's area. So that's something I want to see some attention given to. I don't know what that looks like, if we can require parking permits for that sort of thing or not, if to kick certain people off the street and not, but there's tons of spots in the parking lots, and the streets are full with cars on the shoulders. And that's all I have.
Okay, wonderful.
that would be back to that limiting of 2-hour parking that we talked about last time.
Not
That
talking
might
about
be a
Main Street.
more appropriate location for something like
Okay,
that.
we'll have the police department look at that. Okay,
Okay.
Council Wong.
I just want to remind people about a goal night that Miss Payson is putting on with myself. We're going to be talking about goals and how to set them and the advantage they bring to our lives on December 12th from 6 to 8:30 at Petite Neat. So I encourage everyone to come. It's going to be awesome. She has put this together in conjunction with requirements for competing in Miss Utah. And it's going to be awesome. She's a ball of like exploding energy. So it's going to be entertaining. And then thanks as usual to our staff for everything that you guys do. That's all I've got.
Okay, I'm going to say something.
Go ahead.
You know what she said. But I want to thank everybody for coming. I love to see people here besides the staff. I mean, how do people make changes and let us know they don't agree with what we think? Because there's 5 council and the mayor. We can't come up with all these great ideas unless we have input from the community. And so I really appreciate all you people that came. I don't know why you're here. I should, but I think it should be filled like this every session, because I think more people would be happy with and understand the decisions we make. And if we're not making them the way you want it, maybe you have some input. You have to have input. That's why you're out there as a community and you vote us in. You guys have to give input. I mean, I say this all the time, but there's usually nobody here to say it to. So I appreciate you guys for coming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Okay, we'll move on to action item F, action items. The public hearing / resolution amendments to the Payson City fee schedule, including power rates and other fees. Sean, I guess you're up. Did you want to do a little
both
bit,
of us.
Robert? Both of you?
Yeah. I'll go first really quick. I'll bring this up. Here we go. Mayor and Council, this is just a brief item of some updates to our fee schedule that have been brought to our attention that we need to take care of. First of all, as far as our general fees and taxes, we've had a percentage in the fee schedule, but that changes by the state. And sometimes we miss those changes or they get delayed and whatever. So we've just removed the actual percentage, the number, and just put in there as per state sales and use sale tax schedule. So that way that it will always be updated to whatever the state is currently charging. So one of the items are some of our water rates. As most of you know, we do have a few customers, actually 26 customers in our system that actually live outside of Payson city boundaries. And for many years, those residents were charged double the resident rate. As you can imagine, they're not paying taxes directly to the city, and so there's compensation for that. However, with economies of scale and also as our lines have moved closer to those areas, that rate, we've done some analysis, and we would propose that instead of double, it just be 1.5 times the regular rate of the residents. So those are reflected. I'm going to skip the power part because Sean is much better at presenting on that than me. But to also say that as far as the residential overnight parking permit fee, that's ready to be implemented. We just need to assign a fee, and that's what this does. So with that, I will turn time over to Tej and Sean.
I'd like to add
any questions for me?
I'd just like to add a little bit on the 26 accounts that were being charged double. It was, as we looked at it, was exorbitant, more than was necessary. We want to make sure that they were paying their fair share, and that some of the things that the city citizens pay, they don't pay. And so that's why 1.5 times instead of 2 times. I was contacted by some of those folks out in that area and felt like it would be a fair move to reduce it down to 1.5 times. And they're still paying more than what our citizens are paying because of things they aren't paying. And so I would encourage the council to consider that. Okay, Sean.
All right, so I'm going to go through a few slides here and show you what we're thinking about, what's going on in the power markets, ecosystem, and what we're facing and what decisions we're asking you to look at. This is from the EIA. 81% of new electric generating capacity in 2024 was solar and batteries. No other things hardly added. This is showing what percentage going wind, solar, batteries the last few years, and we are participating in some projects ourselves. And here's some more. Half of new electric generating capacity will come from solar. And so wind's kind of falling off. It was heavily subsidized and it's kind of expensive and it's impossible to schedule. We do have some wind power in our portfolio, but since the new administration's come in, it's just got very unfavorable to where everyone's swinging pretty hard away from that. And then batteries have been growing a lot, utility grade batteries. This is a California duck curve. So first I was talking about how much solar and battery capacity is being added on, but then I want to show what's going on with California because of their mandates. So you can see as we progress, the power that's created by solar is making it where the power demands from California are getting erased and almost going to zero. We actually saw negative pricing last spring and fall from the overproduction of solar and their policies. And so, let's see, so now we call it canyon curve because it's so dramatic. It used to be called a duck curve back in about 2015, 2018. One of the things that's happening in the country is everyone's starting to create big regional markets. CAISO is super powerful where they got 35 million. But we will probably, the whole West will be in one soon, probably within a year or so. We're all connected and we all have sharing a market. And so it should become regional, these trading areas. And they have rules that are similar, but it's, they determine a lot of what happens with pricing and things like that. The PGM model over in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland is a lot like what California is proposing for the West. We're seeing curtailments. So they're actually got so much solar that they're trying to shut down stuff because the exports they're paying people to take their power in certain hours. And so it's just showing how the curtailments are growing more and more during certain months. So really it's the spring and fall when you really see that. And then this is the number of solar customers we had in Payson. We just thought we'd graph that in the last few years. It's pretty big. I used to be the director at Springville a couple of years ago, and we had 14,000 customers, and we only had 200 solar customers there. And we are outsized here. And the reason for that is our payback is pretty large. So this just shows the price that we can get at different times. And we'd like to take advantage of some of that negative pricing when solar is generating. And so if we can leave holes in our portfolio, we'll make money. And one of the issues, that's one of the reasons we're making our power plant as well, is so we have that capability to either run or not, buy gas or not, or pull in market power cheaper to try and lower the bills for everyone. This is what we have been paying for solar buyback, which is really high. We're doing our utility deals for about 3.5 cents kilowatt hour. So half of that bottom one. And so we're overpaying a lot, and then we can even get it cheaper when we don't buy it. So it's a balance between having a bit, diversifying the portfolio, but also bringing in cheaper power to lower everyone's bills. And so our steel solar project up in northern Utah is 3.7 cents kilowatt hour, and then about 10 cent or 1 cent in transmission, so about 4.7 cents. Our proposal, I think it was mid-October, that one was about 3.4 cents as well. But then we have batteries added, which increased it a lot. But what we're able to do with batteries is discharge at certain times when the market's high. And so it gives us that capability to move it wherever we need to. We can also charge with market power into those batteries and use that as well. So it just gives us more capability for our portfolio. And so when you break down the utility, our rates, about 61% goes to power, all of our power resources, and about 39% is in fixed costs going to the wires, transformers, poles, the workers, the billing and all that with the city that we do. And so one of the problems that happens is if you're overpaying for that energy during those times, you create a problem where everyone else is paying more, backing up those others that have chosen to install solar on their homes. And so there's a few ways to deal with it. You can do the decrease of the generation buyback. You could do demand charges. And I think in the future, demand charges will become more popular with residential because of the electric vehicle charging that's slamming the utilities, when they charge. They're taking so much power, they're tripling the demand of the homes. And so we actually may in the future have to start upsizing all the house transformers and all the wire going to them, as well as our substations, to try and keep up. And then time of use is also important, because every hour is traded for a different price. And so there's some hours that are more expensive than others. My whole career, so power's traded in military time, and it's called hour ending. So like hour ending 18 is a time period between 5 at night to 6 at night. So that's how you signify that. But that was one of the most expensive hours. Hours 17 and 18 for most of my career has been most expensive. But because of the solar, it's actually shifted to 8 at night now. And it's when the solar's dropping off that the power prices from 8 at night till 11 at night have become the most expensive, just the last couple of years. And so it's just everyone's reacting to that. So what we're proposing is getting rid of all these level paybacks and just going with 5.7 cents a kilowatt hour for anything that's sent to us. And that's halfway in between our wholesale price and then what we're doing our utility scale deals at. And then our commercial is closer to the wholesale price. And that's important because of the size of the rooftops and things like that. With some of the industrial installations, you want to be able to control what back feeds to you and make sure you aren't overpaying. And we only have 2 commercial ones here. We don't have any industrial size ones in our city. But so that's what we're proposing. And any questions or thoughts or? Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather not talk. I'll talk to you on the side if you, I mean, I don't know. I think the news isn't always accurate. That's what I'll say. Just, watch and see how soon it happens.
So these rates that you're talking about here, the 0.58 cents per kilowatt hour is paid back to the city for the material not used.
So the meter has 4 registers. It has received, delivered, demand, and kilowatt hours. So received is what they give to us, and delivered is what we send to them. And so we charge retail for delivered, and we pay this new price or some price that we had for the received side. And then there's actually net metering happening behind the scenes that we don't have the ability to see because we don't have production meters here. Most cities, when they had their installations, they required that, a production meter for the array that was separate. And that way they could report to the federal agencies what was getting generated and used in that. We don't have the ability to really tell because it can be used and generated at the same time behind the meter. But that's what's sent to us. So it gets it closer to fairness. Because what ends up happening is you take that energy at that price, but you might have to give it back. You become a battery in essence. You give it back at some unknown market price. So like you could have a person that's generating a ton of power during low cost hours of the summer, which would be between 8 in the morning to about 2 in the afternoon. And then you're having to replace that with power plant power that you have dead in, or that you're having to buy somewhere for a lot more. And so you're in essence, you're subsidizing them pretty hard on the energy side, but then also on the infrastructure side.
Okay. One thing I've kind of gleaned from this shift, this canyon curve that we're calling it, is that for years and years we've been taught kind of to run our thermostats a little bit higher during the day. And I from the looks of this, I'd say keep your house cool during the day and then quit running your air conditioner once the sun goes down. Because that's really where the supply and demand is met, and it's an educational thing. Well, I mean, I say it a little in tongue in cheek, but in reality, if we need to be burning off the power that's there, that's
it just
better to do it when somebody's paying us to do it than at night when we have to pay more for it. So.
Yeah. And it's interesting because seasonally it's, you have winter, so there's hardly any production. We had a parking garage with panels on it, and the snow would build up on them. Then no one wanted to get on top of this parking garage because it's all steel. They're going to slide off, you know? So they just never produced much. And then they're cold, and they actually produce really well in cold because they don't have the heat resistance. But, they don't like the snow and stuff. But what ends up happening is you end up using like coal plants, gas plants, other things to supply that customer with power at a different time of year, you know, and with that kind of, pricing structure. So I don't know, it gets it closer to fair. I think it's still in favor of those who have installed, but it gets it much closer than it is right now to fairness for everyone. That's the goal, is you want everyone to reap what they sow, sort of, so they get charged what they should for what they do and their actions that they do, but they don't get penalized for those. And that's what our goal is.
Sean, can you go back to the previous slide that showed the proposed rates? I guess I have a statement and then a question. Another reason we're seeing that change in that curve is not everyone, a lot of people come home from work, charge their cars, their phones, toothbrushes, tablets, you name it. And so all night, our power demand stays really high in the city. But Sean, you're proposing per this that we get rid of all the tiers, all the levels, and we'll just go to these two set numbers no matter what.
Yeah, make it less complicated for our billing and our people, and just, make it less complicated, make it more close to where it should be.
And that's reflected in the rates for everybody.
Yes.
Right? And more, as you refer to, more fair, that's.
Yes, to both those who don't want to install, those who do want to install, just try and get it to where it's more equitable, that there isn't subsidization going on.
Okay.
Mayor, I motion that we open the public hearing on this.
Okay,
one.
is there any, to give these, you got any other things?
No,
Nope.
I don't think so.
Okay, good, go ahead.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to open a public hearing. That's been a motion and been seconded. Roll call vote, again, starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyatt. Yes. Okay, we'll go ahead and open a public hearing. There are some rules to the public hearing. Please step up to the mic, state your name and your address, and speak clearly so we can all hear you. Try to be cognizant of your time, and let your statements please be whether you agree or disagree with the previous information we've just heard from our staff. And please refrain from repeating the same information over again. So we'll go ahead and open a public hearing. Okay, come on up. That's the way it's supposed to work.
So I'm Elise Bott. I do have solar on my home. I think it's great. I guess I don't really understand the tiers very much, and because my bills always stay the same. So I will put my 2 cents in for solar. I think it's great. My other, I guess my concern or my question is, or for you, would be when I use my irrigation water, I have so much that I get. And then if I go above so much, then I get charged a different rate. So for those who choose to have a electric car and who are choosing to drain off of our power grid at a higher rate, we all plug our tablets and we all have things that we have to do at night, but those who are draining off that grid, is there a way that we can implement a higher tax or a higher wattage for them? Why should my electric bill be influenced by somebody who chooses that? If I choose to drive a big truck around or pull a big trailer, my gas bill is going to be higher to go on vacation to do something like that versus choosing a more economical car. But that's my choice.
Sure.
I'm not imposing that on somebody else. So if you're choosing to buy a vehicle to cut your gas costs, then you should have to supplement your cost with a electric bill that goes along with that. So I don't know how you implement that, but that would be my question or concern.
Well, let's let Sean address that. Sean, you got anything you'd like to say about that?
I totally agree. I just don't know how to do it all the way. I've been thinking about it for a while. So we can make, I do want to make a special rate for commercial chargers. So like the gas station looking things where, they come, and you can do that. I'm not sure I haven't seen other utilities do that yet. So
Well, but Sean,
it's,
we currently charge differently based on usage, and that's
oh,
what
we do, but
Elise is referring
we
to.
do, but I think it will become a dramatic impact where it does become a problem. And so we'll try to adjust that. I think demand is one way. And that's what I was talking about before. Your demand charge is like your highest 15 minutes of when everything hits. And so someone can be a pretty small kilowatt hour user, but really smack it with demand. It's kind of the idea of like a welder. You know, if you have a welder in the garage and you don't ever go in your shop and use it, but then all of a sudden you go in there and hit it, you're going to use a whole bunch of power in a short period of time. And so that's where the demand charge works rather than the kilowatt hour only. And so I think that we will be going to that soon to try to offset some of that. That's one way. It's kind of interesting when in 2015, about 2018, there was a ton of lawsuits from Solar City and Vivint and some of those people where they're really attacking like publicly owned utilities. And you guys own this utility. It's yours. You know, it's not some big utility out in the world. And so it really bothered me because I saw their marketing plans and they'd figured out, okay, we can get this rooftop and we can even lease the rooftop by creating a sub utility, but it hurt the other people that actually owned it. And so, but what they do is hit them with lawsuits. So in 2015 through about 17, it was scary with all that lawsuits trying to navigate that, but it's all kind of left and everyone's doing it. So I kind of think demand will be the start and then there'll be more adjustments later to possibly do that. But I totally agree.
But to Elise's point, you are going to pay more when you use more, and that is not changing. Our rates
Yeah.
are staying the same there. But what this does, how this does impact a solar owner, is that you will get a little bit less of a benefit from having those panels per this change. You will get less buyback credit towards your electric bill. But those that do charge their cars and use welders and as they go through those different tiers, as we've all seen, hot tub owners, all those, they do pay more. And this isn't changing that, but it is making it a little less advantageous for residential solar.
But getting it closer to the real costs.
Yeah,
that the
it's
city
getting closer.
incurs. And so that's where
it's still a
the
little bit
rates would,
subsidization, but it's getting a lot closer.
that's where the rates
It's a
would
big
kind of
jump.
help even out.
Yeah.
And I do believe that the state legislatures are working on different tax rates for electric cars over the other for all of these reasons: electrical consumption, road usage, things like that. So it's on the radar and they're looking at it.
Okay. Any other people would you like to come up and address us during this public hearing? Okay. Anybody online, Emily? Okay. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing. A motion to close.
So moved.
Okay, we're moved and seconded. Roll call vote. Council Hyatt. Oh, she's gone. Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Christensen. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, any further discussion you'd like to have?
I guess for me, as we see this trend and this change, when solar first came out, it was such a wonderful thing to put on your home because that technology wasn't saturated in our grid. Now we've seen the change to where solar is saturated. That graph you showed was shocking to see how little of a role coal plays now, and how just 10 years ago how different it was. And so I'm afraid with Payson City, we've rode the solar wave as long as we can to help subsidize and encourage solar usage among our residents and our commercial businesses. But now it's getting to the point where we feel like those of us that don't have solar are subsidizing those that do, because a lot of our power is coming from solar now. And so this is, I think this is a necessary change. I still want to create some avenues of advantageousness for solar owners in Payson, but they can't do it at the expense of everyone else.
I think the key here is to, as a solar owner, you need to be paying attention and actually trying to use that power the best you can when it's being produced, either storing it in your own battery banks that they have or charging your cars when that solar is available is the key. I think it's part of the education process.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, then I'm ready for a motion on this item.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the public hearing resolution amendments to the Payson City fee schedule, including power rates and other fees.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Well, okay, we got
Teresa
2
had it.
seconds.
Council
Teresa, you
Hylett,
got it.
second.
Teresa, Emily, Teresa got it. Okay, roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
And Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 2, resolution, canvass of the November 4th, 2025 Payson City Municipal General Election, and that's the reason we're here on Tuesday.
Yes, it is. And I asked Kim if she wanted to do it one more time, and here I am.
Yes, that was a no.
So you as city council members are also the board of canvassers. So your responsibility tonight is to approve the Payson general election that was held on November 4th. And the numbers that we see here. We had a total of registered voters of 11,405. Of those voters, the ballots cast were 3,156. That percentage of turnout is 27.67%, which I might add is an increase of 1.5% from last year. So that's good. The last election, not last year.
I guess the real sad part about that is the number of registered voters versus the number of Payson residents. That is a stark
So
statistic.
we encourage anybody to register and to vote and to cast your ballot. Mayor Bill Wright got 100% of his votes.
Congratulations.
One horse race.
He
That was close.
ran unopposed, so good job. And we can see that Bob Provsgard and Lacey Smith were both elected. And we credit all those who ran because it's a difficult thing to do and it's hard to put yourself out there and it's a difficult process. So we thank everybody who ran and we commend them for their willingness to serve the city, but we can see on there who was elected. And then we have this report that goes through each individual percentages of the votes. So if anybody has any questions about that. This report includes precincts, voting by precincts. This will be available on our website tomorrow. We also have to report this to the Lieutenant Governor's office by the end of the day. So this is something that Kim and I will go up to our office after the meeting and send to the Lieutenant Governor's office because we've got to get that in before the day is over. So does anybody have any questions?
Council, any questions? Okay, if there's no discussion on this item, I'm ready for a motion. Oh,
Councilmember Hewlett, Hyatt, can
Hyatt.
you use your mic?
There you go.
See what happens when you don't use it?
We didn't know who was talking.
go.
I just wanted to thank you, all of the people who ran, and I said this before because I watched this one, and when I ran 8 years ago, it was not near, like you guys had meetings that we didn't have. You guys like really went out there and pushed the envelope, and I appreciate that, and the city people should appreciate that because you guys didn't just sit on your laurels. You were out there, trying to get the people to understand what you stand for. And so I just wanted to thank you again. Lacey, Kurt's here.
Bob is not here tonight.
Anyway, I just want to thank you again because you guys did a very well-run race. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, then I'm ready for a motion on this item.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the canvass of the November 4th, 2025 municipal city general election results.
I'll second it. I'm seconding this one. I get this.
You can have it. Okay. Okay, motion been seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyatt. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to number 3, resolution and Bay conservation easement. I suspect that most of the people here are here for that item. Believe I'm right, but there's Adam, if you would come up, you'd be, but I'd like to
preface your comments, and so everybody is aware, there is not a public hearing tonight, but I do believe that it's important that we have some public input on this. So I am going to allow some people to talk, but it'll be limited. We'll allow, after Adam gets done with his presentation, we'll allow 15 to 20 minutes of people that would like to come and comment. I'm not going to try to regulate in any way, shape, or form the pro or con. Everybody come up and express their opinion if that's what you would like to do. Again, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And I'll be prompted when you have the 3 minutes. And as you present this, say this to the attendees here, please don't laugh about anything or applaud. It's just the information, and we'd be glad to hear that information. And I would express to the council as well, we're here to listen to your comments. So Adam, go ahead. The time's yours.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Adam Cowie. I'm a 20-year Payson resident, and I've been serving on the Payson Forebay Committee since 2020, and started some involvement just the year prior when we were developing the Forebay Master Plan. And I'm going to run through this presentation pretty quick. We gave this at our last council meeting and then showed most of these same images and slides at the open house we held. But for those that haven't seen this, we'll run through it really quick. Forebay Recreation Area consists of approximately 475 or 480 acres, in that range. It's primarily an open space, vegetated natural area that has some water resources there, and then also a large set of recreational trails that's been built over the last few years. Some of the surrounding properties, the Forebay general areas in the orange there on that map, the surrounding properties that are not highlighted, that just have the yellow lines around those are unincorporated Utah County lands. The area in kind of the yellow on the top of the screen is within the Payson city limits, and then to the top right, kind of that greenish bluish color is within the Elkridge city limits. With Forebay, the primary purpose the city purchased this was to preserve some of the watershed characteristics that exist on this property. This is a photo of the bay. Was my understanding. This was one of the forward bays that was part of this water collection system, and the Forebay name stuck. And so this property's been referred to as Forebay for a number of years. Just some quick highlights of some historic issues that happened there. In 2001, the city purchased that acreage, again, primarily as a watershed, water resource area, but also because of the habitat and recreational opportunities there. In 2008, there was an initial Forebay management plan that was adopted. And then in 2019, a big step towards where we're at today, the National Park Service actually awarded the city a grant and helped develop our current Forebay area management plan that was adopted by the city in 2020. In 2021, the city got a grant, and some big strides were made when they constructed the parking lot, the bridge crossing over the creek, the restroom facility, and during these years, several trails were being built. And then kind of jumping forward to this year in 2025, a bike master plan, bike park was approved for the northern end of the Forebay area. Forebay is unique because its placement in the lower Payson Canyon area. It really is a four-season recreational opportunity. It's below the Forest Service gates, so users are able to be there in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, and in the winter. It's a beautiful piece of property. If you haven't been there, we would encourage you to go up and view some of the trails and open space that's there. It's used heavily by mountain bikers all through all those seasons. We have some awesome youth mountain biking teams that have utilized this. Some teams from different schools that actually recreate here. There's opportunities for walking, hiking, running, and just exploring that property. Lots of families that use that area on the weekends. We are working to develop specific equestrian trails for Forebay where they can have their own dedicated routes around the edge of the property and then up the canyon. Winter grooming has occurred. The city has invested in equipment and machinery to help groom some of these trails for fat bikers and those are not fat bikers, right? Those are fat tire bikers. And snowshoers and cross-country skiing activities that could occur up there. Another benefit to Forebay, as I mentioned before, is the ease of access. This is very close to our residents here in Payson, just minutes to be able to access these open spaces. Most of the trails have been developed in Forebay through volunteer efforts. We have a lot of community efforts, the mountain bike teams, the users of Forebay, and we've had even companies that have come in with some of their employees and have volunteered time to go up and help build and maintain the trails in the canyon. The signage up there has all been designed and installed by volunteers, some park benches and things. So awesome volunteerism that occurs on the property. Over the years, there's been discussion of a conservation easement. So I'll run through what is this easement that we're talking about? What will it do? What does it prohibit? The easement is something that came about as one of the goals in our management plan. It actually directs the city to look at ways to protect and conserve the property. And so a conservation easement is a legally binding agreement that limits the use of the land to protect its conservation values. And so within the agreement, within the document, we've established specific values, protecting the open space, the scenic characteristics, providing for recreational and educational opportunities, protecting the watershed, the wildlife in that area. This easement agreement is then recorded on the property, and there's an easement holder, and then you as the city would retain the ability to use it within the bounds that this easement agreement stipulate. We've reached out to Lehigh City, and Lehigh has given a preliminary okay for being that conservation easement holder if this were to move forward with the Payson City Council. Lehigh and Draper have really been leaders in looking at conservation easements as a way to protect some of the mountain bike area and recreational trails around the point of the mountain. With other cities that have done this, Wasatch County, Summit County, the Park City area has done this. Provo City is working on an easement up Provo Canyon. Linden City has a conservation easement in place. Utah County has looked at a conservation easement around Bridalveil Falls. So this is something that's happened in other areas around the county. Some of the permitted uses, specifically recreationally based. And so having the property remain primarily as open space, but looking at trails, trailhead facilities, and that could be pavilions or kiosks. Within the agreement, it even mentions an observation tower or some other things that might be a cool destination for people to use and be able to recreate on the property, but it's primarily, again, open space. Within the agreement, it does provide, we wanted to make sure that the city has opportunities for development of its water resources. And so if a new water tank was needed, if a water conveyance, a pipeline was needed, a new detention pond, a new storage pond, those sorts of things are permitted outright. So there's nothing additionally that the city would have to do to develop those kinds of resources. The conservation easement does list some prohibited uses. So subdivision of the property, development of the property for habitable structures, wildlife disturbance, it would prohibit hunting on this land, roads other than to serve permitted uses, motorized uses that are not approved as part of those permitted uses, utilities that are not serving the permitted uses, and then more intensive recreational uses. And what we mean by that is things like a soccer field or a baseball field. Councilmember Rowley brought up lights and things like that. Those are prohibited except for safety lighting. So we did add that to the conservation easement based on your comments at the last meeting. let's see, we've had a question, can it be amended in the future? Yes, it can, in conformance with those conservation values. And so to amend the agreement in a substantial way or to change the boundaries of the conservation easement, it would require Payson City to petition the easement holder. So in this case, that could be Lehigh City. And so you would be going to Lehigh City and saying, here's how this change we feel meets the intent of the conservation easement, and they would have to approve that change. And so it's a little bit of a check and balance to make sure that we're keeping in line with the original intent of the easement over the property. Another question we've heard often is, can it be sold? Yes, the property can be sold, but that easement stays in place with the property. And so it limits the potential uses of the property to be in conformance with the conservation easement. That is all I have on that. Just as a follow-up to our open house that we held. So we sent out letters, we posted this and advertised it just like any other public meeting, put it on Facebook in multiple places, and we had a good turnout, probably 50 to 70 people. I think a few of you were there, and we collected all of those, collected some written comments and the sign-in sheets, had a few letters that were turned in. Those were all provided to you last week. So hopefully you've had some time to look through that. And for those that are here that submitted comments, the city council, you've received those. If I could summarize those comments, they kind of fit into three categories. Those in favor of the conservation easement. There was just a few that were flat out opposed to a conservation easement. And then there was a handful that were adjacent landowners that seemed generally supportive of the easement idea, with the hope that a future roadway would be provided across part of the north into Forebay to access their properties. And so with that information, our committee met, the Forebay committee met again and discussed some of those public comments. We did look into, let's see if I can pull this up, just as, let's see, Jill, help me out here. If I go to a different screen, is it on the Zoom? Sorry to get to that. Oh, lost, where do I share that?
Let's just stop it.
Oh.
We'll look and see. So the county parcel?
Sorry, it was the, is it back on that one? It was the Elkridge map.
Oh, let me, sorry. Apologize. Hold on just 1 second. So it looks like it.
Pulling that up. So a couple of the properties that are east of Forebay are within unincorporated Utah County. And so we just wanted to find out and understand better some of the development issues associated with those properties and what it may entail. Thank you.
Yep, sorry.
And so there's, I believe, 4 properties that are in the county to develop for one home site. It's a 50-acre minimum. The county said that those properties would have to front on a paved road that meets their county standards. They have to have a well and a specific amount of water resources for culinary use. And the properties themselves have to have been created prior to 1943. And so they would research the deeds and see if those properties are even created legally. Some of the land in Elkridge, this is a copy of their 2024 general plan, future land use and annexation map. Some of the areas that we've looked at just to the east of Forebay are kind of in that lighter green color towards the bottom. There's a specific zoning, I believe it was 4-acre minimum. Does that sound correct? Yeah. And so similarly, Elkridge staff said that to develop in this area, they would have to have frontage on a public road and meet their subdivision standards, just like any other subdivision you might see in Payson. An interesting thing that we did find with the Elkridge master plan, it does provide for, it has within it a transportation map. And this map, as you can see, includes a future proposed roadway that's shown. It's a little bit hard to see the colors. It's a dark purple. That's kind of the curvy line that's right there in the middle of their city limits. So this was shown as a possible local street and would be a route that would access the majority of these property owners that are within the Elkridge city limits. Again, this is Elkridge's concept for how this property may be developed and accessed at some point in the future. So with that, just passing along that information that we collected as a committee. After we evaluated again some of these comments and discussed our recommended conservation easement again, we feel as a committee that the conservation easement should be approved as recommended over the entire property. We feel like there's opportunities for these other properties to be accessed from other locations, other roads. One of the larger primary bigger pieces actually has a road stubbed right to the edge of it. With those areas within the county, there's actually opportunity to go around north of the 4-Bay property that they could work with other property owners to potentially access those properties as well. So with that, any questions for us?
What I'd like to do now, when we'll have the council have a discussion, but I'd like to open up some time for those. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is that we did have a robust open house. There was a number of people there. Unfortunately, there were 3 council that weren't able to be there, and so I would give a limited time to those that would like to come up and address this. It's not a public hearing, and that's why their rules are a little bit different. Please limit your comments if you choose to talk, whether you're for or against, and we'll allot a time about 15 to 20 minutes for that. Then after that, we'll have the council discussion, and then we'll make the decision. So I'll go ahead and allow the general public, if there's anybody who would like to come up and address this, please do so. Okay, Lee. Yeah. And as you come up, please, if you would come in front of the table, just for security reasons.
Thank you.
Robert, let me know where we're at, okay? Okay, go ahead, Lee.
My name is Lee Pope. I'm a resident of Elk Ridge. I was one of the first residents there. I've lived there for 55 years. I have ridden horses many times up in the 4-Bay area, and I love that area, just as most of you here do. I just won't spend time on the past history, only to say that the Schuler family, which I'm part of, I'm a part owner in the Schuler property there. We've demonstrated cooperation on a number of occasions with Payson by providing, in some cases, providing land for the golf course. On 2 occasions, helping them there to have this nice golf course they have up there, and other things that we've done with Payson. In every instance, we have tried to accommodate whatever Payson's requests were. So that's as far as I'm going to go with the history. My understanding of the primary objectives of this conservation area go along, and I won't mention them because they've already been brought up here once. I just want you to understand, and I think this is a misconception, that we have been and are in favor of conserving that property up there. Again, I've been up there probably 100 times more than anybody in this room has been up there, and I enjoy it. I want to keep it that way. The thing that has brought me here today is that the way this proposal is written up, that really might be very difficult to change, is that it doesn't allow for any access on the northern part of the property. What we're looking for is a very tiny piece of ground to have access there. So you could have an ingress egress situation, which we would need. I realize that I forget, and I apologize for forgetting your name, the person that just presented before me. Who was that?
Adam?
Adam Cowie.
Yeah. I wish that what you suggested about Elk Ridge and their plans were as positive as you seem to think they were, because we've been trying for 20 years, 30 years to do things with the city and had a very difficult time getting anything done. I can't go into the details of why, because that would take me way over time here. I think the irony to me is that with a small access on the northern parcel of the city property, of the city property, that would not hinder or change any of the 4-bay objectives. It would be on the outskirts of the property. It would be also an access road that could be used by 4-bay. Right now, you'd have one road in and no access out. And
Finish your last thought. You're past 3 minutes, but finish your last thought.
okay. We would just urge Payson City to finish the survey they said they were going to do last year. This survey would answer a lot of questions that we have right now. And we believe that the survey would show that parcel of land, if granted access to, would not change any of the objectives of what 4-bay has planned, what the committee has planned, what they've presented here. And so that's our basic tenet here. We'd like to go that direction.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it.
Just take some time and reconsider doing that so we know what the answers could be.
Thank you, Lee. Anyone else? Carl?
My name is Carl Schuler, and I live actually in Elk Ridge, kind of on the border between Elk Ridge and Payson, down on Lower Goose Nest. I went to Payson High, and I was a part of Payson most of my younger days. I did want to take just a moment, and I'll be very brief, but I think I hope everybody could just stop for a minute and try and take a thought of what that area is going to look like in 25, 50, 100 years. Will that conservation easement be beneficial to Payson residents? I'm not sure it will be if you look at the long picture of what that area is going to be. You could gain a lot more potential recreation areas if you did make some kind of and we're not talking about a lot of property, a small portion of your conservation easement in that northeast area that goes down to the Canyon Road. If you would open that up so that Payson citizens would be able to, just not the ones that mountain bike and other things. I'm talking about over in those areas. I know that Elk Ridge City plans on not the mountain bike type trails or the hiking trails. They're talking about the 10-foot wide asphalt trails that are supposed to be interconnecting with all the trail system throughout Utah County and all on up into Salt Lake County. I know they're striving for that. And I know that if there was a development up there, that it would include large open space areas and picnic areas, parks, pavilions, and things like that could at some point be used by both cities. I don't know if that'll ever happen. It may not look like it's too favorable right now, but what would happen in 25 years? If you were to leave some access there, it would be very beneficial to like senior citizens, young families that have very young children that aren't able to take advantage of the mountain bike park and the trails that are there now. It would be for a place for people with disabilities that could maybe get into those areas and use some of those other type trails that are used by runners and others. So that's one. And then I did want to ask one question. When they were talking about the adjacent landowners, a couple of them were left out. What about Paul Freeman? He will be excluded. His value of his property is gonna dive. Also, there's a Mike Schuler's property was not discussed, and it would be excluded. There's a few other that need to be considered, and I know that it would seem to me a logical thing would be to annex some of that Utah County property into Payson. But
Finish as soon as you can, Carl. please.
okay, and with that, I'll quit. Oh, the only other thing, couple other, well, I'll just end with, there is also a safety issue. If you had an access through there, it would possibly, in the future, could give an ingress or egress in case of an emergency for another route out of Payson Canyon, and also for the users of the conservation easement. So that's another consideration.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How much time do we have left?
Depends on if you're going 10 or 20 or 15.
Well, let's do it. Let's go 20 and then that will end it there. Okay.
Hello, my name is Bridget Cheever. I am part of the 4Bay committee, and I've had the pleasure of being able to work with you guys and to understand that there's a lot of work and things that you have done, and we appreciate this area so much. And we're just wanting to show the public that this is a place that we want to sustain and be here for a long time. We want this place to be a place where we can take our grandchildren, that show them that this is places that we have cared about and that we want to preserve for a long time. As a resident as well, I take my children up there all the time, and they access the property quickly. They have been riding bikes up there since they were 2 and 3 years old, so they can access the property easily from the locations that we have. I feel like it's a very good area for all types of people to be able to come and enjoy. And I feel as if as we continue to grow and the land around us continues to be developed, that this area is not going to lose value, but it's going to actually increase value for our residents. And it's going to be a place that we really love. We have such wonderful parks here in Payson that I feel like that is of big value into Payson and a part of our home to adventure, and keeping this area open and available and safe for use for many, many years to come is so very vital and important. We've talked about those accesses to roads and things like that, and the area on that north side, it would take a lot of area to build that road, and that's our whole purpose and our whole point, is to conserve those things that we have already previously proposed and that we have agreed on as a council, that those were okay trails to kind of start, and that will give our public more access to those areas. I just urge you to really think of your grandchildren, the future of Payson, and what you want the future of Payson to look like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse.
I'll start my own timer so I can keep track of myself. My name is Jesse Sorensen. I appreciate Carl and Lee sharing their thoughts and their comments. I am a fifth generation Payson resident. I spent some time growing up in Santa Quin, but my ancestors date back to Benjamin Franklin Stewart, who's one of the founders of the town. And I currently work as the principal at Payson High School. And as you guys, as most people are aware, we're in the midst of a mental health crisis in a significant way right now. And the research behind people, specifically youth, getting outside into natural spaces is undeniable. And the value that 4Bay would bring and maintains for our community in those regards is it's impossible to put a financial value to that. So I just wanted to speak in behalf of 4Bay, maintaining its most conservative state, most natural and pristine state. And I understand that the plight of the landowners. This to me seems to be an Elk Ridge problem. And I appreciate their generosity towards the golf course, and that's notable and commendable. But that transaction happened close to 40 years ago, from what I understand. and the value is there. The value has brought value to our community as well. But we're an eye on the future, and the future is in maintaining this sanctuary for our children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, so they can enjoy the blessings and the what it is to live in Payson, to have this home to adventure, to have a space where we can recreate. I strongly feel that it will bring, as do many other communities in the Wasatch Front, bring other economic resources to our area. You don't have to look very far. Pleasant Grove's installed trails. Lehigh, Draper is now a mountain biking destination. Eagle Mountain is another community that's built a significant mountain bike trail system. I say mountain bike, but they're also hikeable. I spend just as much time up there, maybe not just as much, almost as much time hiking up there as I do mountain biking. So I'll leave my comments with that 35 seconds to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Jesse. How much more time we have? Okay. Time for maybe two more. This one and one more.
Chris Slider, resident of Payson since 2005, so not as long as Jesse. But I've been doing mountain biking for several years. 2008 is when I kind of got into it. And what you guys have done for the Fort Bear area is incredible. The city council has improved that place so well. So appreciate that. And I'm glad that previous council members had the foresight to purchase that land. And I'm glad Elkridge didn't. So we could benefit as Payson residents, and thank you for all you guys have done. And I want to echo what Jesse has said about mental health. I'm on a board of a nonprofit. We deal with a lot of mental health issues, and it is a problem in our communities. And being outside is something that can help with mental health. And so I guess I'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Come on up. How much time left?
I won't be long. My
Okay.
name is Allison Booth. I'm a resident of Payson as well, and I'm on the Fort Bay committee right now, and I have been for the last couple years. And seeing the progress of this conservation easement come to fruition, and I don't think anyone that's on the committee is not wanting to be a good neighbor. And I think we've tried to incorporate things into the easement that will allow for things like this to happen in the future. But that is a big thing that will happen from Elkridge to the canyon. If it did happen, it involves so many more people than Payson City property. And I believe with that land swap option in there, it is a possibility in the future, because to make that possible, there's going to be a lot of people involved from here to Elkridge if that was a possibility ever. But I did have a personal conversation at the open house with the landowners that spoke tonight, and their number one reason for the road is development. And they told me it's not profitable as it is now to develop through Elkridge City. Their number one reason is to try to annex to Payson to be able to have more development and money, which doesn't make sense as is. So I have a hard time with that, putting land that would be so beneficial socially, emotionally, physically for Payson residents at risk for someone to make an extra buck. So I do strongly feel that it is so beneficial to our community and of all ages. And we've made the trailheads accessible to a lot of people. So I believe it's just such a valuable place that we should protect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more. This will be the last one. Okay.
Again, I'm Elise Spot. I've lived here since 2014 is when we built our home. My husband has lived here his whole life, grew up in San Quentin, mountain biked the canyon before there was trails that were really trails. I didn't start mountain biking for probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I kind of got the bug. Please, please keep Fort Bay the way Fort Bay is. We have city parks and we have put a lot of money and time into those city parks to make them great. And we have recently put some money and time into Fort Bay to make Fort Bay great. Please keep Fort Bay great the way it is. We don't need more development. We don't need another road. We don't need more houses up the canyon. We need the canyon to stay the way it is. There's a reason why the Forest Service is there, and there's a reason why the Forest Service doesn't allow buildings on Forest Service property, because we need open space. We need the land. We need it to stay beautiful and the way it is. We don't need a road to go up there. We don't need another access point through Fort Bay. The one that we have is great, and it's the reason it's there is so that you can get out in nature and you can walk and you can get up on the canal road and you can take a wheelchair and go through a lot of the trails that way. There is accessibility to all through Fort Bay, and we don't need to have another way to get to Fort Bay. The way that we have there is perfectly great. So I hopefully we can see the value in Fort Bay and keep it the way it is, because we don't need more houses and we don't need more development. We need more open space and green space and just raw land. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and stop the conversation about the easement, and we'll open it to comments from the city council. But I'll preface that as mayor, I don't get a vote. And so I would like to go on record. I have no problems, none, with the conservation easement. I believe we need to keep the easement and for the future of our community and our children and the citizens. The one thing that I do have a reservation about, and it's already been mentioned about possible access, is if we're going to control a very pristine piece of ground, I love that aspect. But if we're going to control it, we got to control to a certain extent what goes on around it. And I believe in my mind that if we don't have another access, the only city that can develop that has a chance to do that, we have no longer any control over what goes around that easement. Elk Ridge does. And Elk Ridge right now, as has been said, is requiring 4 to 5 acres for a development to happen there. That's what their current council is saying. But councils change and attitudes change. And if we do not have an access, then we do not have control over what happens around us. And so for that reason, I would like to see that happen. Elk Ridge could change and they could develop it the way Elk Ridge is right now, which is denser than, I don't think anybody wants that density there. I don't. But that's the only reservation I have about the easement. I'm in favor of the easement. I want to keep it for future generations. But I would like the ability for Payson City to have at least an option to control what goes around that and keep that area as pristine as possible. Because the fact is, as time goes on, maybe it's not profitable to do it now, but down the road, who knows what that profitability is going to be and what kind of money it will be. So that's my only input. And so I'll turn it over to the city council for whatever comments they may have.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I am the city council representative on the Fort Bay committee as well, and I made sure that things were written. There were some segues, some options that were possible in there. And at the open house, I had mentioned, well, maybe we'll just pull the gas line road easement out, which would allow for the road. They could just throw the road through there. But in all reality, the feasibility of that happening, it didn't follow a good contour. It was a horrible, horrible layout for a road. So looking at that, felt like that would be more of a slap in the face to the people on the backside of Fort Bay. The option for the land swap situation is still there, still a viable one. I think it's really important to understand from Payson City's perspective. I'm not saying that there's no road allowed, because I can see the feasibility. The mayor has a good point. Feasibility is there. I think the most important thing to remember from our side of the table is that we are not going to put the road in. future councils can approve that road. They can do things. There's a possibility that the way that the conservation easement is written, that there could be a parking lot up higher to allow as for a secondary parking space, because we fill the parking lot constantly at Forbay. It's an issue. So they have been looking at gravel parking lots and some other things. So the door isn't entirely closed there. There are options. It's just those options have to be done in a little bit different manner. But as far as from the citizen standpoint, Forbay is there, that it's now not a temptation for the city council to say, hey, you know what, we overspent and our budget's upside down. What can we dump that can make us enough money to do something? Forbay could be put on the chopping block. And I've ran the whole gamut. I'll be completely honest. When I was a young kid, early teens, we would ride horses up into Forbay. I got my car. We used to drive vehicles up there. I had a 1982 Nissan Sentra that could go anywhere in Forbay. Okay. It was the best. I've ridden bicycles. I've hiked. I've walked. We've done everything. I've camped up there when it was allowed back in the day. And just the openness, the friendliness, to be able to go up and walk through the mountains and visit with other people, say hi, and just kind of have that lower upper sanctuary for Payson, I think is a real asset. And I've looked at some of the other conservation easement maps when they were put in. The development came right up in against them because it became a selling point. It improved the value of those houses because now they could say, this is open space. It will always be open space. So it's definitely a two-edged sword, but I think it's something that will benefit generations of Elk Ridge residents as well as Payson residents.
That's Rowley.
Mayor, thank you for allowing some time for everyone to speak. And I'm so grateful for everyone that's here and spoke up, and for our neighbors in Elk Ridge. Thank you for coming to the Forbay Committee. We trust you, and thank you for the work you've done so far on this important matter. You guys have really hit the gas on this, and to the council, we have done something that no former council was able to do, and that's to get it this far. Forbay has always been a temptation of development for councils. I'm so thankful to the Nebo goats too. I've watched the Nebo goats. I've watched a youth I personally know truly have his life changed through that bike program for the better. So to the coaches and everybody, thank you. Forbay works so well because volunteers take care of it, and you guys have done a wonderful job. This property started out as a curse, and we have an opportunity to turn it into a blessing. I don't think it's in the favorability of past, present, or future Payson residents to put a road in for Elk Ridge residents. That's who would use that road, is Elk Ridge. We already provide enough roads for Elk Ridge. Main Street used to be the main way to get to Elk Ridge, but thank goodness now they have the Mountain Loafer Parkway that's relieved that. But to upend and to allow a bordering road on Forbay and cut that down so a few people could profit at the detriment of Payson City residents and of future green space. And I love the comment of, what do we want Forbay to look like in 100 years? I want it to look just the way it does now, except with maybe a few more bike trails on it. We're not putting a fence around Forbay so no one can use it. We're putting it a safety net around Forbay so people can use it and access it and recreate on it. We need green space more than ever as our city develops and grows. And we have the opportunity right here in Payson, Utah, to have one of the biggest conservation easements in the state of Utah. This idea of having a development up there in the future to put more homes in the WUI, the wildland fire interface area, what a nightmare that could be, to have more houses surrounded by potential wildfire. I am all for this easement as it has been presented and constructed by the committee and our attorney and everyone else. Yes, we can play the what if game, but we are not losing anything by conserving this area, and we are gaining everything by doing our website main page. When you log on, that's a picture of Forbay, of someone on a bike in Forbay. That is Jesse Sorensen on a bike, smiling in Forbay. So we have a golden opportunity to make a statement to our residents and to tell them we care about green space and access. We are the home to adventure right here in Payson. And we are not in favor of putting a road in for Elk Ridge.
Council Moss.
So for me, this isn't a what if game. I grew up in southern Utah, going hiking all over St. George, Washington, all over Washington County, Iron County. And in the last 35, 40 years, I have seen a lot of those places that I enjoyed that were a nature sanctuary be built on. Places that I personally hiked on ridges and things like that have houses built up right up against those ridges. You cannot access those places anymore. Places you could go and not see houses, not see anything. You were away from society and the population, and those places are gone forever. Putting a road up there would be a scar forever. It would never be removed. It would open opportunities for developers, regardless of what you think. That will happen. It would be devastating. And someone commented, how would this conservation easement benefit Payson residents? It has, it does, and it always will if we conserve this. I'm 100% for this conservation easement. I don't want our canyon to look like every other canyon up and down I-15, up and down the Wasatch Front. I don't want to cater to any executive housing. I don't want that, because once it's gone, it's gone. We need to enjoy this forever, and our future generations will thank us for this.
Thank you, Council Hyatt.
You guys are awesome.
Turn it back on.
Sorry. I just have a question. When you did your contract, did you look at contracts from other cities, what they had done, and made sure that everything was in there that we wanted in there?
Yeah, yes, we did. We borrowed heavily from Lehigh's.
Use
We did
your
look at Lehigh, Alpine, I think, Linden, and we modified it to leave the possibility for change in uses to be at the staff level, the major changes to be at the council level, and then it complies with the Conservation Easement Act with the Utah Code. Sorry, but yes, we did.
Okay. I just want to protect it. Like, I don't want to go through all this and then maybe there's some little loophole that somebody can get around. I mean, I agree. I'm not like Hugh down there in southern Utah, but I look at it. I don't want houses up there, and we tend to cater to the people who have the bigger houses. Like if there were fires or something, protect my house. Well, why should we protect a $10 million house and everything else is burning around it?
The house
because
be rebuilt.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I just agree. And I've agreed with this since I got on the council 8 years ago that we bought this. I mean, when they bought it, they didn't have the real good reasons now to buy it. But now so much has been done to it. And there's so many people that go up there and use it that I wouldn't want to take that away from anyone. And I understand what you're talking about with your ground. I have a situation not like yours, but a little similar. But I do know this for a fact that when people are looking, they want to be able to be very close where they can just go up on that mountain. Anyone that can get close, within six blocks or something where it's conservative and you don't have to. I'm talking about horses because my daughter rides them all the time. She tries to go to those places where she has access. And now there's been stuff even out in Alberta that people have came in and bought all this ground that people used to go out there and ride on. And I don't know if you'd conserve that, but it's conserved up into the mountain parts. So to me, conserving where people go to have fun is very important, because I do not want to see houses even close to that. It just, even going up Payson Canyon and the few houses that are up there, I'm not going to take that away from them, but it's just like, why are they up the canyon? I mean, yeah, they're blessed. They are very blessed that they got that when they got it. But to me, the canyon is for everyone. And Fort Bay should be for everyone. And I know my little grandson likes to ride his bike up there too. So like, I've been for it for 8 years. I've never understood why we didn't do it before now, but it's finally got to that point, and I'm sorry, about the roads and stuff. I don't know how to fix that. But this is something I've believed in for 8 years, that it should be preserved so that everyone can use it and nobody can build houses up there. I just don't want houses up there. So that's my point of view.
Okay, I believe we've had a very robust conversation about the item, and so I think we're to the point where I'm ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 4-Bay conservation easement as presented by staff.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion been seconded. Roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt. Yes. Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
And Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you for everybody that's participated. I hope we gave a voice to everybody that wanted to voice it. So, okay, moving on. We'll go to number 4, ordinance amendment to the Pay City Code, Title 8.40.030, overnight parking and residential parking permit. Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This amendment is to the overnight parking code. It's already on the books. There's just some tweaks that needed to be made because we're implementing the tags for overnight parking behind the library. It spells out who qualifies for a tag, who doesn't, and then the parking hours. And then one of the changes that's being amended too is it was a typo when it was first passed. It had no parking between the hours of 12 p.m. and 5 a.m. So that meant from lunchtime until the next morning, you couldn't park there. Luckily, that was never enforced. So this amendment fixes it. So it's midnight to 5 a.m. And
couldn't ever.
And then it conforms with the fee amendments that we just passed, that it's the cost of the parking pass is whatever it says in the fee schedule. With that, I'll take any questions.
Annual pass, or is it?
It's yearly.
Okay.
And where's the cost? I don't see that.
It's in the fee schedule. It's $25.
$25.
25, thank you.
Is that per month?
No,
For the year.
For the year.
For the year.
That's good.
Okay, so I have a question. How do we make them park right on Utah Avenue?
That's a law enforcement issue. That's the only way we can address it.
It's constant almost every day.
Enforcement.
You mean cars facing the wrong way? Is that
Yes,
what you mean?
on constant. I go out and tell them and they just tell me to stick it.
Yeah.
I'm serious. They're very rude.
Yeah.
That
That's-
would be enforcement with the
that's-
police, because that
that's the
one's on
only
the
way
state
you'll
code. So that
enforce
one.
that.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
They made it a long time. It's been a long time.
That's about it.
Yeah. That's the same way with speeding. That's the only way you can enforce that too. Okay.
But with these amendments, it's the maximum of 2 permits per legally existing residential unit. We're trying to also get that as a way to find out who's living where, because we know we have some accessory units that aren't legal or permitted. So hopefully they can come into compliance to get these permits.
And
What will you do? Follow
Put a
them?
warning out there first and then go from there.
So there's going to be signage out there about the no parking from 12 a.m. till 5 a.m. unless they have a permit.
And you have to prove it.
And that'll become a law enforcement issue.
And
too.
we've created the application to get the permit, and it'll be with the police. Someone who wants one or qualifies for one will go to the police, fill out that application. Once they've gone through each of the requirements and they pass it, they pay the fee and they'll get the permit from the police department.
Any other questions?
We keeping track of the permits. They're numbered, so we know how many we have out there. So there's
Yeah.
not sold on the black
they're
market or,
assigned to.
yeah.
So yeah, who they're assigned to, which cars that they're assigned to, and then renewing annually so that in case the people's situation changes, there's not tons out there floating that they're just
Very good.
handing around.
Okay,
Same application.
think it's pretty straightforward issue, council, so I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the amendments to the Payson City Code Title 8.40.030 overnight parking and residential parking permits.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded, roll call vote, starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Rowley?
Yes.
Council Moss?
Yes.
Council Hyatt?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. That takes us to the point of another work session. Gee, yeah. And sorry it's taken us so long to get there, but go ahead.
I have some exciting news for you. They're not here.
Oh, we don't have to do it.
So
Is that the Bureau of Reclamation?
So that was the Bureau of Reclamation. Let me just give a quick update. They came and met with us. There must be some extenuating circumstance that they're not here. They were very excited to come and present to you. The bottom line is that they have been working very hard to come up with some equitable ways to deal with the issues of encroachment along their right-of-way. I personally was impressed at the amount of work that has been done, and I feel bad that they're not here to share that with you, but I'm sure we'll reschedule. Not a big deal.
Council, just so you know, they really are bending over backwards. They've got the authority to wreak havoc with everyone that's on there, and they're treating us very well. They're treating all the residents that have a compromising property line very well.
For exercising integrity.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it seemed like they came in with their guns ablazing and
Yeah, they
tried
did.
to be the bully in the
But
playground.
that's got nothing to do with it. They really are working very hard to make it very agreeable for everybody. And it's a monumental task. It's really, really hard, but I think they've struck that middle ground.
How do the residents?
Is there anybody from the public that was here for that purpose?
No, I don't think so.
How do the residents feel about what they're doing?
Well, that they're in the process of briefing those residents.
Yeah,
But
notification is
putting
going
things
back
through.
out, and I appreciate the fact that they're going through this on an individualized basis.
Okay.
There were general information that went out and general letters and things like that, but they have been working with individual property owners to help them understand the situation. There are some that are really hard.
Yep.
There are some situations that are tough.
But even in those, they're doing everything they possibly can.
That's correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And there'll be people that will disagree with it, but that's fact of life. But
Well,
they're
it's a
doing
disagreeable situation.
really, really.
Yeah, it is a disagreeable
So,
situation, but I
that's
think in
understandable.
the long run, such a cool asset for the community. The piped canal, the savings in water, the ability to have a trail along there that's just incredible. So
I would still like to hear from them at
Yeah.
a work session if we can reschedule.
we'll reach out to them and hopefully reschedule for one of our meetings.
I
in December.
sympathize with those people. I have a waterway that runs through my own property
I do
that
too.
that has right-of-way rights with it, and I can't imagine them coming through and.
The one thing that they dispelled that's a fallacy that I'd heard and felt like, Big Brother's really asserting their authority here is that they didn't have deed to that property. They do have deeds to the property. The title people just did not go back far enough to research it to find them.
That's
And
unfortunate.
so they do have title to the property. It just was not found.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll
They said,
reschedule
"Glad
that
to show
and
anybody anytime."
Okay.
so
Thanks,
apologize
Robert.
for that.
Okay, in light of that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.